You're watching Hawaii News Now Sunrise, Hawaii's most watched morning news with Steve Uehara and Grace Lee.
It's 5:59. The Sunrise crew is tracking the day's top stories, and we have team coverage this morning on Tropical Storm Ana.
That's right. Me, Leka Lincoln, and Ben Gutierrez are live on the Big Island. They are tracking the severe weather. And we got Ramsey Warden in Waikiki with more on how the state's visitor industry is getting ready for this storm.
Howard has details on how the shipping could be affected by Ana, and Jennifer Robbins and Dan Cook are both here this morning following the very latest on the tropical storm. Dan, how's it look at this hour?
Well, at last check, the 5 a.m. update, the most recent, the storm's center was about 285 miles to the south-southeast of Hilo. You can see it here approaching, moving to the northwest. The track changes with every update, and we're seeing it a little farther south than the last forecast from Central Pacific Hurricane Center. But again, this could change. Let me show you that track and the timeline as the storm moves across our island state. So there it is currently, and we'll put it in motion. And you can see it does become a Category 1 hurricane at some point here today, but only briefly, and then weakening to tropical storm status once again. So to the south, and I wanted to make sure you understand the cone of uncertainty is not the impact of the storm. The cone of uncertainty just gives you the variation that is possible in the line or the track of the storm, because well outside of this cone of uncertainty is where you will certainly feel surf and surge and rain and wind. So this is just the track that is projected by the Central Pacific Hurricane Center. You can see it's a little more south, so maybe they might take a little bit of the sting out of the impacts for some of us, but this could change very dramatically, very quickly. We all, from the Big Island all the way to Niihau, need to be prepared for what this storm will bring. So stay with us here at your Severe Weather Station. Download our Weather Now app, and you can carry that information right in the palm of your hand. We need information on the commute, so we're calling on Danielle Tucker. Good morning.
Good morning, Dan. And we've got a pretty good morning. There are no accidents, no stalled vehicles. Lots of green on the flow map east of Waipahu, but a lot of traffic coming in. We're not backed up from north-south, but it slows down just after the north-south road. Here we are in Pearl City, approaching the Waimalu exit. It's moving at a fairly decent pace all the way up into Aiea and making the Aiea exit, H3 exit, going across Red Hill into Honolulu. Moanalua Freeway and the Fort Shafter Flats, traffic is light. East to Oahu, a little rain coming down, making for some wet road conditions on Kalaniana-Ole Highway, as well as on the windward side on Kahekili Highway, coming from Ahui Manu Kahalu'u, approaching Kaneohe. From the City and County of Honolulu's Traffic Management Center, I'm Danielle Tucker with Crater 96.3 for Hawaii News Now. Back to you, Steve and Grace.
All right, thanks for the update, Danielle. Now, as of actually last night, the forecast looking better.
That's right, but we don't want to let our guard down. There is still the potential for severe weather. Leka Lincoln is live at South Point on the Big Island, which actually is closest to the storm right now. Leka?
Aloha, good morning, Steve. Good morning, Grace. We're here at Kalai. This is the southernmost part, not only of the Hawaiian Islands, but of the United States. And it is always very windy here. We're expecting the gusts to pick up considerably, however, as Tropical Storm Ana strengthens eventually into a low-grade Category 1 hurricane and begins to pass at this point. Now, we do understand that her track has changed quite a bit in the last 12 hours and is continuing to move more southerly. That said, Hawaii County officials here still want everyone to be prepared for the very likelihood of tropical storm conditions across this side of not just the southernmost point of Hawaii Island, but also wrapping around into the southwest shores as well. Now, what they're saying is the possibility not just of storm surge coming up about 2 feet, but also very high surf, anywhere from 10 to 25 feet, and that's something that they want to make sure people are very cognizant about, especially in these low-lying coastal areas of the Ka'u district. And that's exactly why they urged everyone to move to higher ground. Last night, they shut down all of the beach parks on that south and southeastern facing shores. That includes Punalu'u, Whittington, and Miloli'i Beach Park. We spoke with one woman who is actually staying at the Punalu'u Beach condominiums, and she said that she was going to be moving to higher ground in Pahala. Take a listen.
Well, you never can tell. I mean, you can't just brush it off and then it comes here and then, you know, you're unprepared. So might as well be serious about it.
Now, one of the other things that folks here are telling us that they need to be very cognizant of is the fact that when it does rain hard here, flooding is a major problem. It shuts down big portions of Highway 11 as it wraps around, of course, the south part here of Hawaii Island. And that's why they, again, are telling everyone that they need to move to higher ground as soon as possible, especially with the expectation that rain in this area could fall as much as 6 to 12 inches. So we're very closely monitoring conditions here. As the sun begins to start shining, we'll be able to show you a little bit more clearly exactly what folks here are doing to prepare. Reporting live from Kauai here in South Point of Hawaii Island, Mileka Lincoln, Hawaii News Now.
All right, thanks a lot, Mileka.
6:04, and in the meantime, the state's tourism industry is getting ready for Tropical Storm Ana.
That's right, Ramsey is live with the important information for all of our visitors here in Hawaii. Hey, Rams.
Hey guys, good morning. Well, whether you're in Colorado at a ski resort and a blizzard moves through, or you're on the beautiful beaches of Hawaii, when Mother Nature comes with a potential disaster and you have hundreds of thousands of visitors here, you have to be ready. We brought down Mike McCartney he's the head, of course, of the Hawaii Tourism Authority. Are the hotels prepared?
The hotels and our entire industry is prepared for Ana. We've been in communication with them over the last few days, and the industry here, the number one goal is safety of our visitors. So we want our visitors to be safe. And on any given day, there are about 200,000 visitors throughout the state, 94,000 on Oahu, about 44,000 on Maui, 31,000 on Hawaii Island, and 24,000 on Kauai.
Yeah, a lot of people. Talk to us about some of the specifics. They have to make sure that they have food, the generators, the staff in particular there to handle in the event that they have to keep people in place and or the power goes out or some contingency.
One of the great things about this destination is that we have some of the finest workers and most prepared workers in the world. We have great teams that work in our hotels, and they're in communication with their guests. There are many systems to communicate to their guests, from in-room television to notices under the door. I think our guests will be safe in our hotels. It's evacuation in place, and we're just hoping for the best, but we're preparing for the worst.
And of course, guys, the visitor attractions that are out there, the state shutting down 4 Oahu and Kauai counties, or Honolulu counties, the hiking trails, the parks, the forestry areas, and of course the small boat harbor starting tomorrow. And then we're waiting to hear on the beach parks, but the mayor said likely some closures there.
Yeah, so what we would like people to do is to, like you said, a ski resort. We need to respect Mother Nature. If there was a blizzard, we tell people don't go in the mountains. There's a tropical storm coming here. Maybe not a good day to go hiking. Maybe not a good day to go in the ocean. There's other things you can do to enjoy Hawaii. But the main thing is we want people to be safe and to listen to authority, watch the media, pay attention to announcements that come your way from people in the industry. And all we're trying to do here is make sure everybody gets the best information as soon as possible so they can be prepared.
Mike McCartney with the Hawaii Tourism Authority. Thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you so much. Guys, we're going to continue to track Tropical Storm Ana, and we will let you know the very latest, especially the updates coming out of the mayor's office today. Back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Rams. 6:07, as the storm track moves more to the south, port closure plans are changing.
Yeah, Howard Dykes has this morning's update for us.
Good morning. The Coast Guard now thinks it may not have to close the port of Hilo at all. And Young Brothers has figured out a way to do its usual run to that port. Instead of sailing tomorrow, it will sail tonight, which will buy time to take a longer and more sheltered route on the north side of Maui, arriving Hilo Sunday morning. There's a good chance the port of Kahului will now be able to remain open as well, improving chances for reasonably normal sailings by both Young Brothers and Matson. The Coast Guard sets one of 4 conditions for each port. Matson explains that condition 2 means no vessels enter port. Condition 1 means all vessels in port have to sail out to open waters. We'll continue to follow this for you throughout the morning and the weekend. On Wall Street this morning, a really significant rally, basically buying back the losses of the past few days. The Dow is now up more than 300 points.
Nice.
Good to see that. All right, thanks, Howard. 6:08 now. We just want to put it out there. Stay out of the water today.
That's right. Ana could make for dangerous ocean conditions. We're going to talk to someone from the city's Ocean Safety Department coming up next.
You're watching Hawaii Hawaii News Now Sunrise. And now, traffic and weather every 10 minutes.
Look at that beautiful morning. It is gorgeous out there over Diamond Head, and it's going to feel pretty nice because the trade is going to kick up and it's going to be very comfortable. But we could see some fairly dramatic changes here over the next couple of days as Ana approaches from the southeast. For Oahu in Honolulu today, light winds, 75 degrees, humidity at 79%, and we've got a dew point at 68. That's going to change a little bit. We're going to see the pressure gradient tighten up, and we'll see those trades probably grow to the 15 to 20 mile per range this afternoon. So it's going to be breezy by lunchtime and certainly by the middle of the afternoon. Now, we'll talk more about Ana, but I want to just first give you the watches that are in effect because of her strength and proximity to our islands. Tropical storm watch in effect for waters around Maui and the Big Island, the island of Maui itself, and there's that flash flood watch that continues for the Big Island. They are really concerned about rainfall, 6 to 8 inches, maybe a total of 12 before it's all over with. A majority of that expected to be falling on the southeast slopes, but it could be anywhere, this heavy rain, and the flooding could develop very quickly. So please, particularly on the Big Island first, but then for all of us as we get through the weekend, use caution, err on the side of caution, be safe as Ana passes through our island state. Danielle Tucker in for Rachel Picaro. She's got the latest on that Friday commute.
Thank you very much, Dan. We've got a lot of green on the flow map, mostly on the right of the screen. On the left in the Waipahu Pearl City area, we've got the red developing. We had an accident here at the H1H2 merge in the third lane from the right. You can see they've managed to get over to the right shoulder. That truly is the shoulder by the Waiava overpass. But just ahead of the flashing lights there in the right lane, we have a stalled vehicle. So things on the Farrington on-ramp are certainly going to get backed up, and it's a distraction anytime anything is in any lane on the H1 eastbound direction approaching the Waiava overpass. We are slowing down as you get to Kunia. Just a look back here by Kunia. Traffic in town still getting past the Ola Lane overpass and crossing the Ko'olau, some wet road conditions. From the City and County of Honolulu's Traffic Management Center, I'm Danielle Tucker with Crater 96.3 for Hawaii News Now. Back to you, Steve.
All right, thanks a lot, Danielle. 612, though Ana's path currently takes it south of most of the state, we could still experience dangerous surf and ocean surge as part of that storm. Now, joining us right now is Shane Enright of the city's Department of Ocean Safety. Shane, let's start with this because it can't be overstated just how dangerous it can be out there. A lot of people are going to hear big surf. They're going to go out. How different can it be during a storm like this than just during a big swell?
Good morning, Steve. Yeah, well, we are, of course, concerned about the anticipated high surf, but it's really those surges that can be created out there that makes us most nervous, and we just don't know what to expect at this point. So we are going to be manning the towers starting Saturday morning as we normally do, but we'll be ready to pull the lifeguards off the beach if the weather gets too dangerous, and that could mean we will still respond with a mobile response, or maybe we won't be able to respond at all. So one thing people really need to be aware of is the shorelines and the rocky ledges. They need to stay away from anywhere where it looks like water, a wave may have crashed up onto shore, because that just means that another wave could come without any notice. And that's the scary thing. We don't know what to expect.
That's a good point, not just the people in the water, the spectators as well. And we should also mention people will go out and they think, well, I'm just risking my own life, that's okay. But it's also the people that have to respond, that have to jump in and actually have to go in for the rescue as well, right, Shane?
Yeah, exactly. We are going to do whatever it takes to keep the public safe, but that shouldn't require lifeguards risking their own lives. They will be there to protect our beaches, but we are asking people just to stay out of the water. We did this before with the Zell, and we did, of course, see people going into the water and surfing. That is their own choice, and they are taking that risk, but these are men and women with families at home, so we'd like not to risk their lives if it's not necessary.
Absolutely, and we appreciate their hard work. Shane Enright of the city's Department of Ocean Safety, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, 6:14, let's check in with Howard Dykes.
Hey, thanks. We're starting to get some more information on the possibility of airline flight disruptions. I will have some fresh details for you when we come back for more of the Friday edition of Sunrise on Hawaii News Now.
6:17, Howard was out there gathering some new information.
A couple of things just breaking. Okay, first of all, let's talk about cruises, because somebody in Waikiki was asking Ramsey, I haven't heard about my cruise to Hilo. I wonder what's going to happen. So I contacted Norwegian Cruise Line, which has its information center in Miami, and they haven't made a decision about the Hilo sailing. At this point, it's still on. However, in finding that out, they also mentioned that they're going to be arriving, the current cruise, which is winding up, will be arriving in Honolulu at Aloha Tower at 2 p.m. this afternoon, earlier than usual, so passengers have extra time to comfortably disembark. In addition to that, checking flight cancellations, not a lot of them so far. By the way, I'll just mention the Hawaiian flight from Osaka is going to be late, but I don't think that's weather-related. United Airlines 219, that's the daily flight from Chicago O'Hare that usually arrives in the 2 p.m. hour, has been canceled today. No reason given, so we could speculate about whether it's this or something else, but the United flight from Chicago isn't going today. If you work for a hotel and you were expecting guests from Chicago, they may be coming here, but they're not coming on that flight, guys.
Good to know. I mean, it just boggles my mind the coordination required when you have a storm like this and all the different airlines really across the nation that have impacted.
Yeah, and they all have their own meteorologists. Airlines have a lot of meteorologists. The big ones have so many meteorologists that it's a separate union.
Wow.
And you know, and they're looking at pretty much the same information that Dan is, but they're looking at it from a much more focused point of view, because they're dealing with aircraft that fly at a certain level where the weather might be different from some other level.
Yeah, specific routes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thanks, Howard. Time to check in with Dan Cook.
Yeah, we are all going to be impacted by Ana. I think we can agree on that. I mean, it's just a matter of intensity of impact because of the track, the intensity of the storm itself, and its distance, of course, from us, and the timing, when it's going to happen. This is a pretty good idea of when each island needs to be prepared for the worst that Ana is bringing. The Big Island, of course, it's today through early Saturday. There's a flash flood watch. There's a tropical storm watch. Leeward waters actually are under a tropical storm warning as Ana approaches. So it's storm surge, surf, rain, and wind that could all be impacting the Big Island on Friday, early Saturday. Now for Saturday, it's a Maui County thing, and again, Saturday could bring tropical storm watches for them. Flooding is certainly possible, big waves, big surf, and some stronger winds as well. That's for Maui County on Saturday. Later Saturday and early Sunday, it's Oahu and Kauai that will be getting whatever Ana is bringing. The updates, again, that are coming every 5 hours or so do bring some changes to the track, the intensity, the timing, so stay with us here at your Severe Weather Station. Let's see how severe that commute is this morning. Rachel's out, but Danielle Tucker's got that information.
We had an accident right in the H1-H2 merge, Waiava overpass. That's why we've got so much red on the flow map. Still looking pretty good on the H2 because it's on the right side, and on the left side is where the H2 funnels into. I'm watching the motorists. Those two vehicles with the flashing lights were involved, kind of in the center of the freeway. They got to the shoulder, and they're exchanging information, it looks like. We're still backed up on the west side, looking back to see that we're not quite backed up from the north-south overpass, but the slowdown is this Kunia exit. In town on H1 Koko headbound, we're slowing down by the Liliha stretch as you approach Punahou. Traffic is very light crossing the Ko'olau from the City and County of Honolulu's Traffic Management Center. I'm Danielle Tucker with Crater 96.3 for Hawaii News Now. Back to Steve and Grace.
All right, thanks a lot, Danielle. 6:20 right now. A U.S. Marine accused of killing a transgender woman has been subpoenaed by the Philippine government.
Yeah, Joseph Scott Pemberton is being held aboard the USS Pele Liu in Subic Bay, along with 3 potential witnesses. The Department of Foreign Affairs says that the subpoenas were delivered today to the U.S. Embassy. Pemberton has been charged with murdering Jennifer Laud after they allegedly checked into a motel.
The U.S. Coast Guard is moving its ships out of Ana's path. The cutter Rush led the way out of Honolulu Harbor. Some of the Coast Guard's smaller cutters will go to Pearl Harbor. Small boats on trailers will be taken out of the water. The agency says that its helicopters will be put in hangars at Barbers Point, and the large C-130 airplanes will be moved to Midway Atoll.
All right, on to Colorado. When you reach this intersection, make sure you stop.
Stop.
Yes, stop.
Yes. It's very important.
Supposed to read stop. They made a mistake.
Oh.
Despite it, the traffic paint seems to be doing its job. People are still stopping or stopping.
Stopping.
Yeah.
Is there a joke in here about it being in Colorado?
There is.
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, let's not. 6:22, there are new cancellations and postponements this morning.
Yeah, coming up, Billy V and Millie, they're going to have an update for us.
What's going on here? It is 6:24.
Good morning to Billy and Millie. How's it going?
It's an aloha. Now, with all the focus on Tropical Storm Ana, let's go through this real quickly here. There are a bunch of events and cancellations or just events that have been moved. Let's start on the Big Island first. Mayor's Health Fest and Keiki Triathlon scheduled for tomorrow, canceled. Big Island International Ham Fest in Waimea and HPA's 23rd Annual Pumpkin Patch Festival also. Maui, the big ones are Wailuku Honganji Mission's 115th anniversary. The service and brunch has been moved to next week, Sunday. Oahu here, new items to the canceled or moved list includes this weekend's Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure. It's been moved to Sunday, November 2nd. You can still pick up your packets. You can still register up to race day. Easter Seals Aha Mele is supposed to be Saturday, moved to November 8th. There's a whole bunch more items on here for Oahu. What we'd like to remind you is go to the website. We've got the full list at hawaiinewsnow.com. Real quick, Kauai, almost no cancellations. They are just merely moving their events. If you'd like to see what those dates are, what times, of course, once again, we refer you to the website. There's been this term that we've been hearing called storm fatigue, right, guys?
Yeah.
Well, you know, people are wondering, we pose a question, do you think that all these cancellations and movements, do you think that they're too early? You know, we wanted to get people's thoughts on this. A couple of responses.
I've been in a storm, Okinawa Category 5, and I've been in other storms in Texas. So I know for a fact that if you tell them in advance as preparation and to postpone, that would be best.
Yeah, well, this is for precaution, yeah, for safety, yeah. So you never can tell if they don't cancel and something happened, then, oh, Paul, the storm comes, somebody get hurt, somebody get killed, and then what? So, like, all these people grumbling, yeah. You cannot deal with Mother Nature. Mother Nature going to go where she want to go. Nobody going to stop them. Nobody going to, tell them which way to go. So the best thing for do is be safe, then sorry.
There you go. Yeah. Some good advice there.
Gotta be safe.
Yeah. Hey, when you turn on the radio, turn on Hawaii 105 KINE, Billy V. And even with the storm coming, we are giving away a trip to Vegas this morning at 7:30.
Oh, yeah, exciting.
7:35. We'll see you with more entertainment news and more of the closures because it affects your weekend plans. We're always talking about the weekends. We'll have that for you in the 8 o'clock hour on K5, the home team.
Good to hear that people understand that people are just being safe.
But then you also see the other side of it where, you know, when you move things, you don't get the attendance that you normally would have. But still, you're right, safety first.
All right, thanks, guys.
See you later.
6:27 right now. Coming up in the next 15 minutes, Mayor Kirk Caldwell will have a live update on the city's response to the approaching storm.
Yeah, he's going to be live here in studio. Howard.
Some flight cancellations have been announced. We'll have the very latest on that. And now here's Dan with the cone of turpitude or whatever it is.
3-mile-an-hour wind, 75 degrees. The storm is getting closer, and as it does, it's going to tighten up the pressure gradient. We'll see stronger winds, breezy by this afternoon. There, let's widen it out. There's Ana, less than 200 miles to the southeast of the Big Island. We'll have the latest when we come back. Traffic has stopped. I don't know if you can call it a commute if you're not moving. Look at it. I mean, creeping along there at the H1 Kunia. Danielle Tucker will tell us what the problem is when we come back. Sunrise for your Aloha Friday.
You're watching Hawaii News Now Sunrise, Hawaii's most watched morning news with Steve Uehara and Grace Lee.
We have team coverage this morning of Tropical Storm Ana as it continues to gain strength overnight, but the trajectory is looking a little better.
That's right. Plus, preparations continue on the Big Island to make sure that everyone is ready for the possibility of severe weather. We've got a live report from Ben Gutierrez in Hilo.
And we're going to get an update from Mayor Kirk Caldwell on the city's plans just ahead of the storm.
First, though, let's get the very latest forecast from Dan Cook and Jen Robbins after we check in with Danielle.
Thank you. It's right after the Waiava overpass. We've got red on the flow map, as you can see, approaching Waipahu and Pearl City. Traffic in town is looking pretty good by the Vineyard Boulevard exit. But let me take you out to the west side. I was just talking with FSP and HPD. We've got this accident by the Waiava overpass. They're over on the right shoulder but just ahead of those green sides, in fact, right behind the upper green side on the right of your screen, there is a stalled, possibly an accident that's blocking up the traffic flow. So you see all those brake lights right by the Waiava overpass. Everybody funnels around the problem and then moves along. Traffic at the Middle Street merge still getting past Ola Lane, and we're looking good across the Ko'olau. From the City and County of Honolulu's Traffic Management Center, I'm Danielle Tucker with Crater 96.3 for Hawaii News Now. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Danielle. I'm going to show you the latest track now from the most recent release from the Central Pacific Hurricane Center. Jen's going to come along here in a second and kind of give you a better, more specific sense of how far away Ana will come to your islands, how far away it will be from the Big Island when it passes Maui County, Oahu, and Kauai. So there you can see the storm on our satellite picture, and it's about 200 and some miles to the southeast of the Big Island of Hawaii. The latest track has it becoming a hurricane pretty quickly here sometime today. We're just barely under hurricane strength at 70 miles per hour sustained, but we'll put it in motion here, and you can see that by 6 o'clock this evening, they've got it at hurricane strength to the southwest of the Big Island. I'm going to just move it forward in 6-hour increments. At midnight tonight, still a hurricane to the southwest of the Big Island. 6 o'clock Saturday morning has moved south of Maui County and Oahu, but it's lost a little bit of its oomph, and so it's a tropical storm at that point. We'll continue in 6-hour increments. There you can see Saturday noon, still south of Oahu, 6 o'clock Saturday. That gives you a better sense of how to plan your weekend, perhaps. Now, I want to clarify that the cone here, this cone of uncertainty, gives you the variation they say is possible in the line. It doesn't necessarily tell you where the impacts are going to be. They could spread out much wider than this cone. So all of us, even if it stays on this track, we'll see an increase in storm surge and surf. We're going to see rain. We're going to see wind. We're all going to get something from Ana, so stay alert and be ready. All right, so with a little more detail on Ana, let's send it over to Jennifer Robbins.
To some varying degree, that's right, Dan. So let's take a look exactly how far Ana will be as it comes our way. Right now, it is on track to move towards south, as Dan was pointing out. So we'll be watching that very carefully and taking a look at the varying degrees of impact. It really depends strongly on the strength, the position, and movement of the storm as far as surf, winds, and heavy rain. So we will see some of these impacts across the state, but how strong those impacts are is the big question of how far away Ana is from your island. So that's what we have to analyze. And you can see it's quite a large system that we're watching, and a whole lot of winds and circulation now as it makes its way closer to the Big Island. Let's go step by step and let's take a look at how far it will be from South Point, Hawaii Island, Friday night. Right now, with the latest model track, it has it greater than 140 miles to the south, so quite a distance away. As we go to Maui County, you see greater than 150 miles, so that's quite a distance. A nice buffer zone there. And then Sunday, this is where it gets closest to the island chain, either for Ni'ihau, Kauai, or Oahu. It's about 60 to 100 miles away, but you can see the cone of uncertainty getting really close to the Garden Isle, and that's why we have to watch this very carefully, because if Ana lies on this edge of that cone of uncertainty, we're going to have more damaging effects. If it's to the southern edge, of course, we're going to see less effects. So it really depends on the exact track, and this is when you break it down. The tropical force winds usually extend up to 60 miles from the center, and that's what we'll have to watch as it comes to the western end of the state. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Jen. 6:34, let's check in with Ben Gutierrez live in downtown Hilo.
Yeah, good morning to you, Ben.
Hey, good morning, Stephen, Grace. Just based on what I saw from the satellite imagery a little bit earlier, it is starting to rain here in Hilo, and at least from what I could tell from satellite, this may be rainfall that's coming from the outermost bands of Ana, which means that we're very far away from where the center of Ana is forecast to pass the closest, and we're already seeing some of the effects, albeit minor ones. It's just raining right now, but we are anticipating that the rain is going to get even heavier. Sense of perspective, since Jen was talking about the distances that Ana's center is supposed to take, 140 miles south of South Point, and then you add a little bit of math. We are 82 miles from South Point, and so we're like 220 miles from where the center is going to be at its closest approach to the island of Hawaii, and even so, we are still seeing some effects here. Now, the track is a lot better than we saw from a few days ago, but Big Island authorities, including Mayor Billy Kanoe, remain on high alert.
So while we're very hopeful and thankful for the track of Anna the last couple of days, we're still going to see three things that pose a lot of problem to those of us who call Hawaii home.
So right now we're just seeing a little bit of the rainfall. They have been going door to door, civil defense officials down in the lower Puna and Ka'u coastlines to warn people about the fact that there could be surf and storm surges as well from Ana, along with the heavy rain, and we could still get a little bit of wind from the tropical storm. Looking off into Hilo Bay right now, we haven't seen a whole lot of waves crashing over the breakwater at the moment, just every once in a while. Nothing like a cell, but again, that surf could still be coming in, especially for the southeast shores of the Big Island, wrap to the southwest, and then start affecting the rest of the island chain. Reporting live from downtown Hilo, Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Ben.
6:37, even with a more southerly track, the storm is going to affect some flights.
Yeah, Howard Dykes has an update for us.
Yeah, a lot of this is starting to change. First of all, Island Air currently plans to suspend service to Lanai and Maui starting on Saturday. And then the last flight to Maui will be the 11 a.m. departure from Honolulu, returning shortly after noon. Last departure to Lanai will be at 10 minutes to 10, return flight to Oahu about an hour after that. And then on Sunday, Island Air plans to be entirely grounded. All of that could change depending on the weather, obviously. Now, this morning, United has canceled its daily flight from Chicago to Honolulu, but that's the only major cancellation so far. The United flight from Majuro landed this morning. The Hawaiian red-eye from Vegas arrived about an hour ago. In the next few minutes, Japan Airlines has a flight arriving from Tokyo, and Jetstar arrives from Sydney. Norwegian Cruise Line had earlier announced, and we told you just a few minutes ago, the Pride of America will arrive at Aloha Tower earlier than usual. However, I have just heard from NCL that they're going back to their regular schedule after discovering that the water is such that they're going to be able to deliver their usual Nepali coast tour on the north side of Kauai. And so after doing that, they'll sail back to Oahu and they'll arrive at Aloha Tower tonight, which is what they would usually do. News at the pump. AAA says Oahu average regular falls to $3.99 a gallon this morning. That's the average price. Even the Big Island seeing prices below $4 at some stations. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 300 points.
Sad that we celebrate when gas is below $4.
Yes, yes it is. It's tragic, in fact.
All right, thanks a lot, Howard. 6:39, we got a Dallas nurse who has not been diagnosed with Ebola, but she's trapped on a ship.
Yeah, we're going to tell you why she's in isolation on that cruise ship. And the man who will lead the Ebola containment effort for President Obama, he was just named this morning. We'll tell you more about it.
You're watching Hawaii News Now Sunrise. And now, traffic and weather every 10 minutes.
It is 6:41. Kind of want to give you an idea on watches and warnings as preparations are made in advance of Ana. You can see the pink filled in areas. That's a tropical storm watch. Now down here to the southwest and to the southeast of the Big Island, that's actually a tropical storm warning. They're fairly confident there's going to be tropical storm force winds and conditions in those quadrants of the coastal waters. And then outside, what we would call the offshore waters, which is 40 nautical miles out to 240 nautical miles, there is also a tropical storm warning, concerns about the conditions as Ana approaches. Now, on the Big Island itself, there's a flash flood watch in effect, effective at noon today. There's a full expectation that they're going to start seeing an increase in showers and in moisture, and the numbers are pretty impressive. There could be 6 to 8, maybe the total amount could be 12 inches of rain in some spots. Southeast slopes are most at risk for this shower activity. And then, of course, the winds. About a 50% chance of tropical storm conditions on the island of itself at this point. Again, that forecast continues to be updating, and it is evolving. And at last check, the track of the storm a little bit farther to the south. That's good news, but we still need to remain vigilant as that track could change dramatically at any moment, and we should all be prepared. I want to help you get prepared for the commute this morning, and we'll do that with the help of Danielle Tucker. Good morning.
Good morning. We've got a lot of traffic coming in on the west side with a Fender bender at the H1H2 by the Waiava overpass. There's red on the flow map. Not quite back from north-south road. The one vehicle on the right shoulder that you can see by the Waiava overpass, they're out of the traffic flow, but just on the other side of that green sign, there's a vehicle stuck there. Everybody's trying to get around it, and you can just really see the impact one vehicle has there. You get to the Sears Distribution Center turn, it's wide open, doesn't seem like there's any traffic. A lot of traffic in town because of a two-car accident that was sitting in the far left lane right here by the Nu'uanu overpass. They got underway on their own. On the windward side, expect some wet road conditions. East Oahu, too, the traffic is beginning to pick up into New Valley. From the City and County of Honolulu's Traffic Management Center, I'm Danielle Tucker with Crater 96.3 for Hawaii News Now. Back to the studio.
All right, thanks a lot, Danielle. While we prepare for Ana, Bermuda is bracing for Hurricane Gonzalo.
And it's a big one. The storm was just downgraded from Category 4 to Category 3. It is still expected, though, to pass near or over the island today with winds of 125 miles per hour. So here's a look of Gonzalo from space. These images were taken by NASA earlier today. Despite losing some strength, forecasters say that it is still a major hurricane.
We also have several developments this morning in regards to Ebola.
Now, first, President Obama is naming an Ebola czar. He appointed Ron Klain to the position. Klain is a former chief of staff to Vice President Joe Biden. His job will be to lead the response to the disease in the United States. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has admitted botching attempts to stop the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. It blames incompetent staff and says that nearly everyone involved in the response failed on some level.
And another Dallas healthcare worker is self-quarantined on a Caribbean cruise ship. She's being monitored for Ebola. The woman reportedly handled a lab specimen from the Liberian man who died from Ebola in Texas. The State Department says that the woman had not shown any symptoms of the disease. And officials in Belize, though, they would not let the woman leave the ship at port. And they refused a U.S. government request to fly her home through an airport in Belize. Honolulu Mayor Kurt Caldwell says they don't want to overreact to this approaching storm.
But you also don't want to let your guard down, like Dan said. Coming up, how he's planning to keep people safe here on Oahu.
If you have seen the latest trek on us has changed, it looks like there could still be problems, though. So we brought in Mayor Kurt Caldwell to talk about preparations underway here in Honolulu. And as far as the city is concerned, Mayor, we haven't announced anything, any kind of closures as of yet, right?
That's correct, Grace. We're trying to take a very cautiously optimistic approach to this storm. We have actually revoked camping permits for this coming weekend that start on Friday because we didn't want people to go into our parks and then have to remove them out of the parks. Mm-hmm. But that's the only decision we made in terms of shutting down a service that would have otherwise been there. We're going to wait, see what the 8 o'clock update is from the National Weather Service. As you know, and you've been reporting very, very strongly on this from yesterday, showing that it's tracking a little bit more south. And it looks like it may be a little weaker when it approaches Oahu. This is all very good news, but we're not letting our guard down, and no one else should let their guard down. I think they should stay tuned to your station, and I think they need to be prepared for the worst. We always prepare for the worst and hope for the best, and I think that's the best way it should be. And hopefully on Monday, you'll be reporting that it was a non-event.
Yeah.
That is a good thing for all of us, but we want to be ready just in case. And within that cone of uncertainty, as you can see, if the eye were to go straight north, it would be pretty close to Oahu, and we could have damaging, sustained winds. We want to see, as it gets closer, what happens, and then we'll take make the right decision.
So you'll be alternating the city's response because of that.
Correct.
And just to let our viewers know, there's going to be a live press conference that we will cover from the city, and that's when you're going to have announcements and further updates then, right?
I want to thank Hawaii News Now for covering it live. I think it's important for people to tune in. And again, we want to make sure that we don't create hurricane fatigue. We don't want to announce things prematurely when we don't have to. The good news is the Weather Service is giving us pretty darn good information that you're then broadcasting out there. That information will help us make the decisions at noon. If there's decisions that we don't make at noon, we'd roll it out to a little later or even Saturday.
Because this is not just about emotions, it's also about businesses. Businesses lose a lot of money when you shut down the parks and services, right?
Absolutely. Not only our Waikiki, for example, when we shut down our bus service, that really affects how people travel about our island. 225,000 people ride our bus every day. So take that multiplier when people aren't traveling, they're not shopping, has dramatic negative impacts. And we're going to make the decision to protect the public at the right time, but we don't want to overreact too early and have a negative impact on our economy.
I think you guys are still asking people to stay out of the water, though, because we're not really sure the effects that we're going to see in the coming days.
Right. No, Grace, I'm glad you brought that up. This is one big request we make. You know, with this approaching storm, the conditions are very different than just high surf, you know, whether it's south swell or north swell, where people will we figure out the currents. People go out in this water, you got big rip currents, you got a lot of different kinds of action in the water. It's not how it always is. And if people go into the water, they endanger themselves, but then think about that lifeguard who goes in the water with family. And if they both don't make it out, it's a tragedy all around. We don't want to put anyone in danger. We don't want the public to endanger themselves, and we don't want our lifeguards to endanger themselves. So please, starting tomorrow, stay out of the water. Just use good judgment and wait till Monday. There's always going to be good surf on Oahu.
Just wait a couple of days.
Yeah, just a couple days.
It'll still be there. All right, Mayor Kurt Caldwell, we're going to talk to him a little bit more in the coming hour, but we want to say thank you for coming in today.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, time now to check in with Dan for the latest.
Yeah, let's talk about our weather today here on Oahu, and it's going to be fairly nice. A beautiful sunset from our friend Vincent on the North Shore. 6:28 sun up, 6:05 it sets tonight. We'll have a high of 87. Fairly light winds to begin, 10 to 15. We'll see them strengthen as the pressure gradient tightens up throughout the day as Ana approaches. So breezy 15 to 20 mile an hour trades expected this afternoon. Not much in the way of showers for Oahu today, but all things can change as Ana makes its approach from the southeast. Let's get to the traffic, an update from the Traffic Management Center and Danielle Tucker.
Thank you, Dan. On the west side, I'm just checking it out. We've got red on the flow map, but it's not as red as it usually is. Looking back here by Kunia, we're slowing down after the Kunia on-ramp, and yes, it is certainly a slowdown, a dead stop just about by the Kunia on. Middle Street merge is heavy too because of an earlier accident. We still have the stalled vehicle here in Pearl City on the H1 right behind the green sign. FSP is going to go check it out. I hope they get there soon. Middle Street merge here by Ola Lane. We had the accident earlier by the new Uanu overpass in the left lane. From the City and County of Honolulu's Traffic Management Center, I'm Danielle Tucker with Crater 96.3. For Hawaii News Now, you're watching Sunrise, and we'll be back with more news right after this.
You're watching Hawaii News Now Sunrise.
All right, 25 years ago today, San Francisco was rocked by a deadly earthquake. The 6.9 Loma Prieta quake killed more than 60 and injured more than 3,700. It also caused about $10 billion in damage. The Loma Prieta was the largest earthquake to hit San Francisco since 1906.
A 70-year-old World War II plane has been found just off of Midway Atoll.
Yeah, it was about 25 feet underwater just off the Barrier Reef. In August, a team of maritime archaeologists found the P-40 Warhawk scattered in pieces. By studying the engine and the guns, they figured out that the identity of the young pilot who ditched the plane during a training run that was in 1943.
It wasn't just that we figured out the plane or the circumstances over which it was lost, but we were able to figure out who was the pilot. He did survive. He went on to serve. He had a long career in the U.S. Air Force.
Turns out Lieutenant Ray Obenshane Jr. with the Air Force's 78th Fighter Squadron parachuted to safety. He died in 1983 and is now buried in Arlington National Cemetery.
Unfortunately, Colton Wong's spectacular season has come to an end. This after Travis Ishikawa's home run put the San Francisco Giants into the World Series. The Giants beat Wong and his Cardinals in Game 5 last night. But the Big Island boy, man, he's got to hold his head high, got a great postseason. 6 RBI, 4 runs scored, and 3 home runs. San Fran moves on to play the Kansas City Royals on Tuesday. Royals are red hot. They've won 8 straight, and they're in the World Series for the first time since 1985.
I heard it was deafening in San Francisco.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine.
All right, we want to say goodbye to our viewers. If you're on KH Now, you can watch the Today Show or stay here with us on Sunrise. We have our top stories coming up.
That's right. Mileka Lincoln is live in the southern part of the Big Island. We're going to check in with her as Ana approaches morning hour.
Some shipping disruptions, but a couple of things get better. I'll have the latest. Dan.
Pretty nice day today. You can see sunshine and maybe a couple of raindrops, but not much. Light winds that will get stronger later in the day. It's tomorrow when Oahu will start to feel the effects of Ana. We'll have a complete forecast for you coming up in a second. Quick look at surf. It's starting to, traffic starting to slow down at the Middle Street Merge. Sunrise will continue for your Friday in just a moment.